Welcome to the Back to Soul podcast. Here we will connect with our soul and discuss what the journey home looks like. Inspired by my own true spiritual awakening, I'm your host, Danyell, better known as Coach Danyell. I'm a life coach specializing in wellness and finance. I've searched, I've Googled, but I couldn't find the answers I was looking for on this journey. So hopefully listening to this podcast will help you come home, back to soul. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for weekly episodes. Welcome. This is the very first episode of the brand new Back to Soul podcast. Some of you may be migrating from the Find Your Positivity podcast. And on that podcast, they're very short daily episodes, and they're all about affirmations and empowerment and motivation. Here on this podcast, we're going to dive a little deeper into our soul and coming back home to our soul. I really wanted a platform to speak about the spiritual awakening process. I've searched, I've Googled. There's a lot of answers out there that are not coinciding with what I've experienced. And I thought it was just part of my purpose to talk about what I've been through. And I really wanted to just focus on that spiritual awakening. So here's the podcast. Navigating this awakening in my 30s has really been eye-opening, to say the least. But now I'm at a space where there's such resonance. I feel comfortable knowing that I'm in the right space. I'm around the correct people. I'm in the right mind frame. I feel good about where I am. I'm on the right path. Things are aligning, and it's my finances. It's my career. It's this unconditional love that I've been feeling. Everything is fine and everything is working out for me. So I have to say that when this entire process began, I identified with being a quote unquote planner. I love to plan. Everything always had to be prepared. Everything had to be in order. But most of this spiritual journey has been about letting go of control, knowing that I'm not really in control of this. And I've had to surrender to that path, letting go of the need to plan everything down to the minor details. As someone who identifies with being on this divine feminine path, I am really leaving everything to my intuition and not doubting my emotions anymore. And I'm choosing to go with the flow. That need to always be in control and dominate, I feel like it was coming from trauma. It was coming from a part of me that was never healed. So some verbiage I've heard is wounded masculine. Could be, but for me, I just know that it was coming from an unhealed place. So I've been on a journey to heal it, and it feels good. As you listen to the Back to Soul podcast, don't forget I am a life coach, and I'm here to help you succeed and excel in your everyday life. I've been in those tough situations, those situations where you need someone to talk to, you need a friend to console you. I can be that person for you. I can help to motivate you, empower you, and help you to hold accountability. You are not alone, and help is here. Whether you're needing advice on budgeting, time management, accountability, staying inspired, or just someone to talk to, I'm here. Use code POSITIVITY to save 50% on your intro coaching session. My promise, if I'm not a great fit as your coach, then the session is free. Book today at CoachDanyell.com. Another really big part of this process that I don't feel like is talked about enough is the purging, the letting go and purging. And when it comes to letting go and purging relationships and people from your life, that is a true heaviness that has been a lot to deal with. And I've really heavily relied on the process of going with the flow for everything. The start of my spiritual awakening, a lot of my childhood memories started to emerge. And it was almost as though I had to be re-traumatized all over again. But the difference this time around is I'm older. I've grown. My eyes are open more. I can see and understand, or try to understand, what was happening at that time. As a child, If you've experienced any kind of sexual trauma, emotional trauma, mental trauma, at that age, we don't always understand what's happening in that moment. Why is this person touching me in that way? Why is this person reacting that way? Why is this person so angry at me? Why am I being blamed for this? Why? All of these questions. And as a child, I shifted all of that blame to myself, not knowing whether it was right or wrong, but I just shifted it to myself and thought I was the problem. I'm not good enough. I wasn't pretty enough, not skinny enough. I'm not like everyone else. I'm not smart enough. I'm not worthy of love. Worthiness and self-love has been a big part of my journey. I've really had to learn or relearn how to love myself unconditionally. I feel like we're taught to look for that validation in others, that worthiness, our love for ourselves. We look for that in others. If only I can lose this amount of weight, then they'll love me. If only I do all of these things they're asking, then they'll want me too. But it doesn't work that way. We allow ourselves to be manipulated and degraded just to have that validation in others. If I say whatever they want me to say, will they love me? And the truth is, that person may love you, but that love is not unconditional. And this could be mothers, fathers, siblings, your partners, even coworkers or managers. We're continuing to seek that outside validation for love, beauty, and acceptance. That's why love and worthiness may be a hard chapter for some of us. You'll keep repeating those same life lessons, maybe with different individuals, until you start to recognize it and change it. And it's a light bulb moment. It's, oh, this person only shows me attention when I do this. Or this person shows me attention if I behave this way or say these things. Continuing to seek that outside validation that it's really not serving you. Here on the Back to Soul podcast, we will speak often about books and how they can help us to navigate this journey back home, back to our soul. I've partnered with Audible, who has thousands of titles to choose from, including audiobooks, podcasts, and groundbreaking originals, and just so much more. Plus, the Audible app makes things so much easier to listen to anytime and anywhere. So to continue your journey back home, back to your soul, go ahead and download the Audible app. Also, let me mention, new members try Audible free for 30 days. Again, that's audibletrial.com/Coach Danyell, CoachDanyell. So part of the process of me coming back to my soul, it began by me being told my life would be changing. So maybe 2 or 3 months or more prior to everything starting, I was told the life that I was currently living would change. I was told that my job would be different. The friends around me would no longer be there. Family members that I was surrounded by would no longer be there. I was told that my life would just look completely different. And at that time, there were a lot of visions, a lot of synchronicities, a lot of messengers being sent to me about this journey that was coming. I was excited, but I was nervous because I was being told that it was such a big change. So in my mind, I envisioned this amazing glow up in my wealth, my finances, relationships, and my health. I just assumed it would just be me stepping into my power, becoming a millionaire, and just living this amazing life. And I was just repeatedly told that I wouldn't have the same friends and people would look at me differently. And I felt as though I was in a really good space. So I just thought I was about to level up. At that time, I was losing weight. I was really focusing on my health. My finances were good. And I was getting into a more spiritual routine. So I felt like I was just in a really great space. So fast forward when things began to take place physically, because at that time, everything was in my head with the visions. So when things actually started to take place physically, I quit my second job. So I lost that financial income and I began to purge. So this was a purging of family, friends, physical objects, old ideas. It was as though a connection that was there had been severed. God severed several connections, and I had zero urge to reconnect, which was very odd to me. I just fully committed to that process, and I chose to go through that awakening. I see a lot of stuff online and TikTok about awakenings, but you have to understand it's a choice. So for these people that are going through these different things, going through these psychosis, these awakenings, you have to choose a true awakening. And the process is not easy. I would describe it as a complete breakdown in your ideas at the time, a complete breakdown in any of your beliefs, your mindsets, and everything is stripped away. And in that part of being stripped away, I couldn't do anything outside of it. I didn't have the capacity, the mental capacity to take on anything else at that time. Again, this is my story. This is how things went for me. I don't understand how someone with kids or with a spouse could ever get through it. And I know there's different levels to these awakenings as well. I feel like mine was pretty in depth. It was a lot. It was a lot of visions. It was a lot of me trusting God and surrendering to what I was seeing and what I was hearing. And it's a full commitment, spiritually and mentally and physically. So when I talk about this being a journey back home, coming back to your soul, this is God wanting you to come back to Him. That is what home is. It's coming back to God. It's coming back to that unconditional love and knowing that you're powerful and you're unstoppable and you swim in this essence. You are vibrating high and it feels good all of the time. So think about that for a second. Is it easy to completely let go of any old mindsets, old beliefs, any old timelines that you held as a child, ones that have been ingrained in you and that you have used as your foundation for life? And God has said, let it go. You will no longer live your life based on those old beliefs and those old timelines because it's not serving you. You haven't reached your full potential. You have barely lived life and there's so much more ahead of you. And it's time for you to step into your purpose. That's, in a nutshell, what an awakening is for me. You completely surrender and you choose God. You choose to trust in that process. And it's all about having faith because there's nothing in the physical, nothing in the 3D that is helping you. Because in that moment, everything is spiritual and it's mental. And that's what you are upgrading. Things change. Once that veil is lifted and you have gone through a certain process, you can't go back. And that veil begins to lift. And you begin to look at the world very differently. Your focus begins to shift without having all of the extra clutter. So all of that letting go and that purging that you did, it makes space for the new. So that excessiveness will calm because you no longer feel burdened. You will begin to recognize and rendezvous with other high vibrating, like-minded souls. And your conversations are different. The way I view people is very, very different. So even now at this stage, I'm still purging. It's not as big of a purge as the beginning of my awakening, but now I'm at a stage where I've let go of a lot of people that were no longer serving me, that were no longer on that same journey. I think it's different if you are with someone and you're both going through that same process at the same time. I don't feel like that is common. I think that you start going through the awakening process, and that's when you begin to meet up with these high vibrating souls. Not everyone's on the same vibration. From what I know, there's waves, and you will just meet people along this journey. Even now at this stage, I am still purging. I'm letting go of objects and furniture and things that are holding that old energy, those old feelings, old memories, those things. I'm just going through, I think it's a small purging process, but it's still part of this continued awakening. Things that are no longer necessary in this next chapter of my life, I am donating, I'm giving away, I'm selling, just because I need to make room, make space for the newness that's coming, these new beginnings. So for example, if you have an old picture frame, a family heirloom, a piece of clothing, things that bring out old, sad, stagnant emotions and energy, then it's time to let go. So Goodwill, Salvation Army, any donation service, if you want to sell it, there you go. You sell it, you get rid of it. And you'll just recognize that you've ascended from a lot of that past energy. So I ended up taking tons of clothes, tons of furniture, just tons of things, totes to Goodwill and things like that. And weeks later, God blessed me with a brand new wardrobe. I've gotten new furniture, just new things, because I've chose to make space. I always just have so much gratitude for this journey. It's hard mentally and spiritually, but it's worth it because I feel better. I feel lighter. I feel more at ease. I feel more peace. And I'm learning to love myself unconditionally. I'm learning to see my worth. I have healed a lot of childhood trauma that I never would have healed had I not gone through this process. So I have so much respect and gratitude for it. This awakening process has allowed me to see the greatness and the good in everything and everyone around me. And I love resonating with that. I love seeing the good in them, and I know that resonates the good in me. So this is not a bad thing. The growth and the beauty in this recognition it's such a good life. It's so peaceful. So others will see that glow. Others are going to know that something is different about you. They're going to know that something has changed. They're going to tell you, you look so good. You look so healthy. There's definitely a glow. I think a good rule of thumb when you are going through this process of letting go and purging friends and family and these objects is not to keep yourself at a lower vibration because you're waiting for them to catch up. I don't feel like it would be helpful or beneficial for you to keep yourself at a lower vibration just to wait for them. We don't know the timelines of others. We don't know what God has planned for them internally or spiritually. And when you get that urge to let go and God is telling you to purge, begin that purging process. Even if it doesn't all occur at once, you can do it little by little. But when you get that notification, when you get that vision, however it comes to you, begin the purging process. Begin to think about how you want to let things go. Do you want to donate it? Do you want to sell it? But definitely make plans to let go. To wrap up today's episode, I just want to say, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of this process and letting go. Don't be afraid of starting that new beginning, because that is what this is. You are purging and letting go to make space for new things, new beginnings, new opportunities, new friends, new relationships, possibly a new partner. That's what's happening. So that new chapter, great things are waiting for you. Great things are coming. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to be notified for weekly episodes. Also, this doesn't have to be goodbye. Check out the Find Your Positivity podcast. It's available on all platforms. Daily episodes are posted for your affirmations and your intention settings of the day. See you soon.